Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for tonight's match in the semifinals. It's Italy versus Japan, the first time that these teams have ever played against each other in the Nations Cup. Let's quickly have a look at the standings from the group stages. We can see that Japan has arrived second of their group stage. They have won both of their matches against Switzerland and Germany 3-2 and have lost 5-0 against France. Italy, on the other sides, have dominated their group, winning all of their matches 4-1 or 5-0 against Poland, Turkey, and Sweden. If we dive deeper into the Group A results, you can see that if you've been here with us from the start, you'll see that Japan had some rough starts in the competition against both their matches versus Switzerland and Germany, giving them the first two rounds and then clutching up for the last three rounds. Unfortunately, didn't manage to score a round against France, but they will hope to do better against Italy here. For Italy on their side, the road has been a lot smoother, winning all of their matches pretty comfortably for 4-1 or 5-0 against all of these teams. So they are definitely the favorites in tonight's match, that is for sure. With me tonight is Kevin and Cube. Cube, how are you doing tonight?
Doing very well, thank you.
And joining us as well, Kevin. Kevin, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Excited for this quarterfinal. Let's get stuck in.
Yep, so teams are joining the arenas, and we're going to kick it off with a 2v2 mixed star race, as we usually do in the group stages. Lorenzo 42 and Sozi on the Italian side, and Wimwi and Kanako on the Japanese side. Let's get right into it. So the star, what can you tell us about the star, Cube?
Yeah, well, Star, we're looking at a very slow boat. It's a 2v2, so in this race it's all about not finishing last. So we will see a lot of battles, very intense till the end of the race, and we'll mostly look at the back of the fleet, as that's where the important stuff will happen.
Yeah, for sure. Last place loses. So I think I'm going to see a tight battle down the last run. But 40 seconds to go on the start. What's your money on Cube on the start line?
Yeah, I think both teams are going pretty extreme towards the right-hand side of the starting line. So they're really scared of this sort of hook maneuver, and I think the Italians here will need to try and find a gap in between the Japanese. We see one of the Japanese boats still closing the door, but with 10 seconds to go, it looks like all four boats are going to be pretty good, well lined up. There's one Japanese boat a little bit behind, and that's a clear start from three boats from the two Italians. A late start from Wimui, who's crossing the line just now, but with a 20-meter difference already to the top three runners.
Yeah, we've got left shift is in and coming more. And we're only in, about 20, 21 knots of wind. So upwind, the star wind shadow isn't going to do too much damage. Right now Italy have got a dominant position, but as long as Japan can just keep in touch, keep quite close to one of the Italian boats by the time they get to the windward mark, then they'll not be looking too bad. Even at this distance, you can sail half the upwind in the wind shadow at this wind speed and still keep in touch by the time you get to the windward mark.
Yeah, I quite like the tactic there actually of Japan. So they had one boat, Kanako, who was pretty well on the line, and then with Mui they tried to push one of the two Italians over. So they timed it just a little bit too late. But if that would have stuck and they would have been able to give one or two penalties to the Italians, that would have been a very powerful move. So it's a good attempt for the Japanese, but in this semifinal, you really want all of your moves stick and be executed perfectly. Otherwise, they're not gonna work.
Yeah, it's tough in the star and this wind speed to take full advantage and win the race on the upwind. It doesn't take too much, especially in the 2v2. It doesn't take too much for the trailing boats to keep in touch. You can have 40 meters. You can be 40 meters behind coming around the windward mark and still have enough to get the wind shadow on downwind.
Yeah, and that's really what they're relying on right now, because you see there's a 30-meter gap already between the two Japanese boats. So it's Kanako that's holding on to the Italians, and yeah, she's gonna slow them down as much as possible on the downwind to allow Mui to come back.
Yeah, it's not a huge lead. With Mui is only 50 meters, just 60 meters behind now, which is nothing in the star. We might see a bit of fighting here downwind, see if the Japanese can put Lorenzo or Sozi behind them by the time they get to the upwind and try and take a bit more of an advantage. And Mui probably going to try and just get out of the way, let Kanako slow down who is it? Lorenzo. Lorenzo's defending quite hard so far, just trying to keep that left-hand side advantage. And on the other side of the course, Sozi is just going straight downwind, keeping ahead, which, to be fair, is a good tactic. Keep one boat ahead in the 2v2 by the time you get to the second upwind, and you can at least have a little bit of control.
Yeah, and that attack there from Kanako brought Mui all the way back into the race, sailing in second place right now. So a bit stronger position now for the Japanese. I think we're gonna see this develop all the way till the last downwind.
Yeah, Lorenzo's a very strong star match racer. I'd be surprised to see Kanako take advantage. And actually on that jibe, it looks like Kanako's just taken that jibe a bit too early. Lorenzo's still got the leeward advantage. They're just going to be stuck in this 1v1. I'm guessing Lorenzo's going to get either the penalty or just go clean ahead for the mark rounding. And Mui will probably come back and then start slowing Lorenzo down once we hit the upwind. Mm-hmm. Just follow Lorenzo in here. He's probably just going to wait for Kanako to jibe first and then take advantage. There he's didn't even need the penalty. Can go clean ahead and can take the mark room.
Yeah, I think Lorenzo knows as well. There is no point in fighting hard here and in giving a penalty, because in the end they're gonna come back either way, and you're probably not gonna make the difference on the upwind. Definitely given Mui, who's still in the mix, and he's still.
Looks to me like we've got a fairly big left shift here coming. Lorenzo's got the control on Kanako, and at the moment it's just holding Kanako at the back, while Mui is pushing ahead. Could potentially be dangerous for Mui over on the right-hand side of the course if the shift goes too hard left, but it looks like it's going to neutralize a little bit anyway. And hopefully Mui can keep ahead of, or at least in touch with Lorenzo for the downwind. Sozi has quite nicely just closed out Mui there and stopping them from tacking. And good tactic here would just be for Sozi to push Mui all the way over to the ley line.
Yeah, and I see that middle windsock already turning a little bit right, so yeah, might not have been the worst decision to go here to the right hand side. In any case, the two Japanese, while they're both behind the Italians, they're very very close. So it's definitely gonna result in another match race.
Yeah, you're right. It's not enough to get away.
Close mark rounding here for Lorenzo, who's gonna need a little bit of space. And
very
slow
nice.
down. Yeah, very nice mark trap there from Sozi. I think Mui might have been focused a little bit too much already on Lorenzo, like I was, and didn't expect that mark trap from Sozi. Very well executed, minimal damage for the Italians, and they're starting this last downwind with a pretty nice lead. So we see here they're going straight away to the right hand side of the that's Lorenzo that we can see on our screen, so that they can keep and maintain that that starboard advantage.
Yeah, interesting to see here what the Italians play in terms of tactics. If Lorenzo is going to try and do it single-handedly, either 1v1 or 2v1, or if Sozi is going to come back and join the fight as well. At the moment, Mui Mui and Sozi are just pushing on ahead, but Mui Mui is still in a good place to put the shadow on Lorenzo and let Kanako come underneath and give the penalty.
Yeah, I think very nice positioning there from Mui Mui, who went very slow all the way up to Lorenzo. Now with the penalty on Lorenzo, and good approach there. So a perfect hook as you wanted from Mui Mui.
Yeah, this was very nicely controlled.
But they have to watch out now that they don't go too far over to the right hand side. So they're coming back, and it's going to be looking at an overlap between Mui Mui and Lorenzo. They want that overlap stick. They want to push Lorenzo out of the way, because if that's not working, then that's going to be the end of that race for them.
I think Mui Mui's realised that there's not enough shadow.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was the move that was going to work, because Lorenzo has quite some distance advantage, and that's going to be very close. But I think it's going to be Lorenzo who makes it stick, and that's a 1-2 for the Italians. 1-0 Italy versus Japan in race 1.
Yeah, this was nicely controlled by. And it's got a lot of practice at knowing the angles, knowing when to take advantage. You know, with that big left-hand shift that was coming in halfway down that run, there was a clear advantage to running towards the pin as soon as you could do it. And we saw that Mui just didn't have enough shadow, really needed to get much further to the right-hand side of Lorenzo in order to slow him down enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think they just Mui didn't realize it early enough that the slowdown wasn't going to be big enough. And then with that luff towards the end to get on top of Lorenzo, there wasn't really enough distance left to the finish line.
Yeah, great work by Lorenzo.
So now for race 2, we're going into the offshore. It's a 3v3. And as we're waiting for some of the players to join the race, it's going to be interesting to see what the Italians will do here, because I feel like the Italians had some tactic. I mean, it might not have worked at the pre-start in race 1, but I think they really had that tactic of sending Mui Mui from behind, pushing the Italians over the line. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if they have something planned for this race. I mean, the 3v3 is a little bit more difficult. The more boats, the more difficult it is to coordinate your entire start sequence. But I'm still expecting something.
Yeah, we've got some strong boats here in the Italian squad. Ballista 25, which is Amos, and Rock. Two very good fleet racers and team racers. But also we've got Yutsuki, Kazuki, and Mui Mui again. Who are very strong. Perhaps not quite as much team race practice as this Italian squad, but we'll see. With the offshore, they're going to be trying to take advantage of the ability to luff and keep your momentum on the start line, and hopefully no OCS with the bowsprit.
Yeah, what I notice here is that the boats are much lower positioned compared to where they were in race number 1, where they were more to the right of the line. Now they're more already on the approach towards the line.
Yeah, a lot of penalties already. They're really fighting for position here. Or two of the Japanese boats seem to have locked each other out at the committee boat.
Yeah, and a
That's
beautiful
not gonna
hook
go too
there.
well.
A beautiful hook there right outside our screen from one of the Italians who gave a penalty to Yusuki. That was Velista 25 with that penalty, and he is gonna have a pretty slow start, but he will manage to give another penalty to Mui Mui, and that will make his start more than successful enough. So not the best starts for him, but he managed to penalize 2 of the Japanese players. And
yeah, I think that was maybe a critical mistake there from Mui Mui, trying to put that tack in. when Amos was right behind, and there's just not enough speed in the offshore to make attack that close and get away with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we might have not seen that coming, or might have thought that Vilista 25 was a little bit more behind. Indeed, it would surprise me. Oh, penalty
Oh,
there.
that's beautiful.
Beautiful
Lovely.
penalty from Alberto Vilista 86 with what
Yeah,
was that? Was that a half tack that he made and then
yeah,
keep
just
the rudder
halfway into the
still?
attack, and made the other boats hit and take the penalty. Yeah, very nice awareness there of what was going on, especially with Yutsuki coming in one side and Kazuki on the other side.
Yeah, exactly, because he had little to no choice. He was being sandwiched by two of the Japanese boats, and here is the payback by Yutsuki. Very beautiful dial down.
So the Italians have got first place with Rock in first place. It's a very strong position in the 3v3. All this fight is probably going to be at the back now. The Italians will probably want to leave Rock at the front, let him keep moving and hold that strong position. And the Japanese now just want to make sure the Italians stay behind them. But
Yes,
Amos is doing a very good job here of just controlling Muri after that penalty.
Yeah, so for the two Japanese in P2 and P3, they can't lose any spot because with a 1 and a 3, the Italians win. Same for a 1 and a 2, that gives you an immediate win. So for the Japanese, it's all about bringing back Mui now. And in this position, in this configuration, 2-3-5, that's actually a winning combination for the Japanese. But of course, we're only first downwind, so I'm assuming a lot more aggressive moves from the Italians. As
Yeah,
we
the
see
Japanese
Velista.
really want to. Sorry, the Japanese really want to just keep Ballista 25 Amos at the back if they can. Very nice penalty from Muri. Just keeping ahead on the luff. And this actually, with that penalty just before the downwind gate, puts the Japanese in a strong position to keep Ballista 25 behind them. If they can just put a bit more pressure on, is that Alberto, did you say, Ballista 86?
Yeah, exactly.
And although at the moment Alberto has got a fairly good line on Muri, and we're going to see the fight there on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised there
attacking.
by Yutsuki, because Yutsuki passed Alberto, and instead of attacking on top, he went straight ahead. So that made it extremely difficult for Mui, and there comes the penalty that I was already afraid for. So I don't know if that was that right-hand shift that that was so powerful that Yutsuki wanted to go to that side, because Mui was in a very good fifth position, even maybe getting onto fourth if they passed Velista 86, and now they're back into sixth and fourth respectively. So not the upwind I think that the Japanese would have wanted here.
I don't think so, and I'm surprised that they've let Kazuki go ahead and just hold on to second place. I was expecting them to stop Kazuki at the windward mark and just come back to fight 3v2 rather than 2v2, which would be much easier for the Japanese. But at the moment, Kazuki is just flying forward into second place.
On the other hand, what...
So, in fact, Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, I was gonna say that that we see a little bit of a split there between 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. So they're more match racing than team racing. But as I'm saying it, the fleet is closing up, and they're all together again.
Several penalties there. Muri taking one, and Ballista 86 taking one just after the rounding. This is going to be looking quite messy so far. We've got 2 1v1s, which makes things difficult. At least if Kazuki is holding on to second place. For now, that gives them a slight advantage because they can play 2-3-4 or 2-3-5 for the Japanese to win.
Yeah, so I think Kazuki and Mui are gonna fight Velista 25 to put him in fourth position, and then if they win the fight in the back between Katsuki and Velista 86, that will give them the advantage, but it's not over, and the finish is coming very, very close with Velista 25. A lot of speed carrying into second position, and I think they're going to maintain that all the way to the end. Yes, they are, and that's going to be a second position for Velista 25 and for the Italians.
Yeah, and that's a 1-2 wins.
Yeah, so another victory for the Italians decided in that in the last half of the last time win. So very, very close racing, but a lot is changing in that last part.
Yeah, it was very close. Strong performance from the Japanese there, but obviously the Italians have now got a 2-1 lead. But we've got 9 matches tonight, so first to 5 wins.
Yeah, and we do know that the Japanese players are good at their comebacks. They've proven that already in the group stages. So I think for them, this is just a wake up call to get ready. And we saw that it had nothing to do with the skills. I think both teams are really really communicating well. We don't see any issues there between teammates or friendly fire between two members of the same team. So it's really all about nailing it at the last moment, and I think probably having a little bit of luck there with your positioning.
Yeah, you're right. But that communication is so key in these matches, understanding which positions you need to gain or which boat you need to take advantage of, and just capitalizing on that so you can play the positions and end up with the stronger position. Obviously, with the Italians having first place, it made it slightly easier for them. But then they were just very strong on that last bit of the downwind, getting the penalty when it really mattered.
Yeah, and talking about that communication, we're going into race 3, which is a 4v4 J70. Some would say the pinnacle of team racing in virtual regatta. For me, it is my favorite format. I must say, it's the perfect balance between communicating, a balanced skill between the two teams, and a lot of options for strategies. It's not your first place isn't that dominant as in the 1v1, as in the 3v3. So it gives a lot more room for both teams to keep fighting till the end.
Yeah, and you quite often have matches where one team has got 2 boats ahead but 2 boats behind, and that can be a losing position. When you've got 8 boats on the water, sometimes having more of a fleet race mindset is strategic, just to go fast, get into the right side of the shift, and get some boats ahead into an advantaged position rather than fighting too much. On the line here, it looks to me like the Italians are going in quite early to the line. It looks to be like a hard left shift most of the way up this beat, with the Japanese actually coming in quite late, getting a couple of nice penalties there with just about 10 seconds to go. Got one Italian boat doing a penalty start. Looks to be Lorenzo just taking a penalty start at the committee boat. I'm not sure that's going to be a huge advantage with this left shift coming.
And a penalty there from FC Rich, who tried to penalize the Italians from behind, but I think got a Rule 12 against him. So yeah, I think that left-hand shift is really messing up the start line there with Lorenzo, who had in theory a very good start on the committee boat, but due to that shift, isn't really able to claim that strong of a position.
Yeah, I think we'll see once this shift comes in, which is going to be quite hard. He might end up being behind Yuko and the Japanese boat on the far left. Which might just give the Japanese
seems to be our controlling boat at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what he's doing on Luka. So it's attack on Luka Kozlovic, who has to duck Lorenzo. Another double tack there by Yuko, and I think that double tack was a little bit slow, as it looks like both Luka and Lorenzo are sneaking ahead, and then if we look more towards the middle, we see FIV Rock also in that same lineup. So a very, very nice lineup between all 8 boats, I must say. But they're not on the same level. That's definitely for sure right now with that left hand side shift. So the more you are on the left hand side of the course, the more an advantage you have. But then of course having the starboard advantage at the ley line is going to help you quite a lot as well.
Yeah, you know, this shift's going to neutralize a little bit here and probably go to the middle before it goes left again. I think FC Rich and Kazuki probably made an interesting call here, splitting the fleet and going to the other side of the course. But I'm just not convinced they're going to get that much advantage once this shift comes in. Although the other boats are going to end up fighting, and FC Rich will have a fairly clear line.
Yeah, smart move there by Kazuki to tack in front of the ley line, so to disrupt that ley line and to make sure that FIV Rock has to do a double tack, which puts FC Rich very close to him, and with a penalty, a perfect hook there by FC Rich. So textbook textbook dial down with a hook, a windward
Yeah, that
leading
was
penalty.
very nice.
And
Great
that's
awareness, because sometimes you can come in late with that one and end up getting the penalty yourself, but he just timed that perfectly.
Yeah, he carried a lot of speed, a lot of momentum there into that dial down. And that's going to put FC Rich in first position. A lot of penalties there at that mark. I didn't track everything, but to me it looks right now like it's pretty well split. So in terms of scoring, it's a tie right now between 2 teams.
Yeah, you know what? The fleet's so close at the moment.
Yeah.
Other than FC Rich taking first place at the moment, the rest of the fleet is so compressed that we'll see what happens on this downwind. So with let's see, on a 4v4, yeah, with first place is fairly strong if you can hold that. But the Italians are looking to be just trying to capitalize in the middle of the fleet and push the other Japanese boats back. A lot of different fights. Over on the left-hand side, Lorenzo has got control over Ozil, and is closing that boat out, with Kazuki again going even deeper on the left-hand side. It's still fairly even here. 2 Italian boats. Luca and Rock managed to get ahead here and might just be clean to get around the windward mark before the Japanese.
Yeah, that's going to be the case indeed. And that's going to be Italy who's going to take this the upper hand a little bit in this downwind leg. So they're coming around that bottom gate in a winning position right now, but the Japanese still have that first spot, which is quite important here to give a lot of wind shadow to Luka Kozlovic, who's stacking now on the Japanese. And in the back, it looks like Velista 25 is being covered as well.
Yeah, you know, if the Italians can hold this position in the middle with 2-3-4, 2-3-4 is very strong. 2-3-4 in last place still wins. We'll see if FC Rich... yeah, you see FC Rich just tacking now, putting some cover on Rock. Just a light bit of cover, slowing him down a bit, trying to help the other Japanese boats behind, but still trying to hold on to that first place for now.
Yeah, and the 2-3-4 is allowing you as well to place a little mark trap at the top mark, because then having 2 boats in second and third is giving you quite a strong advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I think if the Italians can get 2 of their boats around the windward mark first, the third one will just hang back and penalize the other boats. 2-3. Let's see, 2-3-4. Anything wins. 2-3-5, and last place wins as well.
Yeah, so
on the right-hand side. Go ahead.
It's splitting up a little bit in terms of the distances. The Japanese didn't really find any clear wind on that upwind leg, and it shows with even Velista 25, who's who was last rounding that bottom gate. Now very close behind the two Japanese and in front of Yuko already.
Yeah, and up at the windward mark, FC Rich is just stopping. I think they've realised that the Italians are in a strong position here with 2 and 3. So I think we'll see FC Rich stop at the wing mark in first place and just try and slow the Italians down a bit, get the trailing Japanese boats back into the fight.
Yeah, it looks like that's not even necessary to put any mark trap because the Japanese are so far behind right now. It's all down to FC Rich, who's trying with a mark trap, but not a good one, not a successful one, and that's 2 Italians that have managed to sneak away, and that's a very, very, very dangerous situation here for the Japanese. So the only winning combination now for them is to put the 2 Italians at 7 and 8, and we know how difficult that is in team racing.
Yeah, the
Penalty
problem with
there.
this is that the Italians have split the fleet quite a bit, and Amos at the back has got control of Yuko at the very back of the fleet. So in order to put Lorenzo even further back, the Japanese have got to slow Lorenzo right down and get him way back behind Yuko, which is going to be a tough job when Amos is fighting hard against Yuko.
Yeah,
You know, Amos can really just put on the brakes here and let Lorenzo take a place ahead of him, and that will be a fairly straightforward win.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the only boat that can attack Lorenzo at the moment is FC Rich, and he doesn't have a hook on him either at the moment. So there are 2 Japanese now around Lorenzo. That's going to help a little bit with a hook, but they need to slow him down, and they need to do it fast because the finish is approaching, and it's still more than 100 meters down to Yuko.
Yeah, you know what? At this stage, Lorenzo can just keep taking penalties, and he'll be across the line before Yuko. So I think that's game over for the Japanese in race 3.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's doing. Again, good job there by Lorenzo, knowing exactly where to go and when to slow down.
Yeah, this is good team racing practice, knowing when you should be fighting and when you should just be going fast and just trying to get through the finish line.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the Italians really did on that first downwind and the second upwind, is they really focused on going fast and with minimal tacks, getting a clear path. And I think the Japanese struggled a little bit more with that.
Yeah, you know what? So far, boat to boat, I'm not seeing a huge difference between these 2 teams. You know, the Japanese are very good boat to boat. There's been some strong penalties, some really strong moves, upwind and downwind. But it seems like so far the Italians have just got the upper hand in terms of team tactics, where they want to be, where they want to place their boats, and when, and just really playing for those winning combinations.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're playing it a little bit smoother. We don't see Italians that much bunched up. They seem to know which side to go and how to split their team. And in the meantime, still cover Japan and try to create as much distance as possible between them.
Yeah. Next up, F15, a 3v3 might be a bit different. So much advantage on getting speed and getting ahead on the start line. FC Rich, very strong F50 player. KGR, another strong F50 player, and Yutsuki, all strong F50 players in fleet race. Maybe not quite as experienced in team race. Against Tommy Tamble, JL77, and Charizard. So perhaps actually on paper we've got a stronger Japanese squad here. Maybe we can see advantage taken from them and get a first win on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think indeed on paper they got the upper hand, but that start is so so dangerous and it's all in the details there. So even if you're theoretically the stronger player, it's going to be quite crucial there to get a good start for the 3 Japanese. 42 seconds
Yeah,
to
small
go.
mistakes on the start line in the F50 can be costly because they can just kill your speed.
So
Two of the
it looks
Japanese
like
boats taking a tactic from the front of the box, just picking up speed as they go to the back.
yeah, they don't wait at the back of the box like most of the other players do. And
A little bit of friendly fire there on the Japanese as well, just kind of getting in each other's way on the approach back to the line. The Italians have got good speed here, to be fair. Although one Japanese boat is clear ahead and has just cleared the way for the other one. Is that FC Rich? No, Yutsuki. Got a nice line while FC Rich held up Charizard and Tommy Tamble. Yutsuki was able to just put the speed on, put the nose
yeah,
down, get the speed up.
very good start there by Yutsuki. And is that a penalty? Yeah, that is a penalty for FC Rich
Yeah,
by Charizard. Well moved there with that jibe inside the mark zone.
yeah, he just tried to take advantage of the mark zone. FC Rich was clear ahead in the mark zone, but Charizard had already gone around the other side of the mark and was just clean ahead there. So FC Rich was maybe just a little bit late on that penalty. Bit of a split in the course here. It looks to me, yeah, we've got the Japanese going up the right-hand side. The Italians kind of going for the left-hand side. The Japanese have got the starboard advantage here.
Yeah, so for the Japanese, this is quite a good position with Tommy Tamble quite far behind in last position. And they have first. So in a 3v3 rule of thumb, if you have first and you don't finish last, you have a winning combination. So right now, if they manage to keep Tommy Tamble in the back and Yustuki stays in front, that's going to be enough for the Japanese, but it's still a long way to go to the finish.
Yeah, there's a nice little fight here with FC Rich and JL77 in the middle of the fleet. And JL77 just happened to tack off early there because FC Rich would have had the advantage in the mark zone. We're seeing Yutsuki just putting the brakes on, putting the shadow on JL77, trying to get FC Rich through. If they can get clean 1-2, then that's a nice win for them. It's working quite well. It should be just about enough to get FC Rich through into a clean second place, and then they can just put the shadow on and slow JL77 down a little bit more. Yeah, nice tactical play there from the Japanese.
Yeah, very well done. And that 1-2 is gonna give them a lot of comfort going into the last part. They do have last place again now with KGR getting a penalty there. So they really want to hang on to that top 2, and that's gonna be very, very hard challenge in terms of communication because those boats are so fast, and the effect of the wind shadow is quite significant. So you really want to time everything right between your team, that you don't slow each other down. And that's exactly what they might be doing just now with FC Rich covering Yutsuki a little bit. And we see the speed
Yeah,
difference.
you know what? With 2 boats ahead and JL77 chasing, a 1-2 wins and also a 1-3 wins. If I was the Japanese, I wouldn't be focusing too much on trying to slow down JL77. I'd just be trying to keep moving fast. If they can stay far enough ahead that Charizard can't get into the fight, then they can still just win with 1-3, even if JL77 manages to get an advantage.
Yeah, no, true. But they are doing the attack there. That is going to be an attack. Ooh, and a very, very dangerous move there by Yutsuki, who's attacking with attack straight away behind it. Not a lot of speed, but he manages to make it stick. So they still have a 1-2 and the upper hand on JL77. Quite aggressive there. I mean,
Yeah, it was, I think, unnecessarily aggressive at this point. You just want to go fast and play safe. Play the safe covers and just keep yourself slightly in front of the boat behind you. Put on a soft cover, match their tacks, and get to the windward mark before them.
On the other hand, they do have a very, very strong position now on JL77, who's constantly in the back of Yutsuki.
Yeah, there's not a lot they can do. I think maybe the Italians missed a trick by trying to split the fleet here and send one of their boats over to the hard right, but it's maybe a last-ditch effort that couldn't have really given them too much. We see Yutsuki get round the mark here first. That should be a clean 1-2 for the Japanese.
Yeah, I think in the end,
JL77
if we have to call it, it's still gonna be the start. That that made it.
Yeah, it was strong tactics. Strong tactics at the start, just slowing down the Italians enough to get their boats in front. Yeah, Yutsuki rounds nicely in front of JL77. JL77 nicely split that last little downwind just in case there was any chance of getting an advantage in the wind or something. But nicely done from the Japanese. Put some points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it was close because I saw a red light on top of JL77, which means that JL77 had mark room on Yutsuki. So just that little bit closer, and they would have been able to give a penalty. So it was close in the end, but well played by the Japanese with that 1-2. And
yeah, you're right. Sometimes on that
victory.
last turn, very nice. Sometimes with that last turn in the F50, you see some unexpected losses where somebody doesn't anticipate the slowdown in the turning speed, or they come around the turn mark and luff a little bit too much and slow down, and the trailing boat just manages to take advantage. But no, nicely played by the Japanese. That gives us 3-1 going into what are we on, the 5th match?
Yeah, we're in the NACRA now.
Oh yes, this is the introduction of one of the races that we didn't have in the group stage, the 5v5 NACRA, and then at the end we're going to see the 5v5 49er. These races are a bit faster and a bit more fleet-oriented, dare I say it, where you've got more boats on the water, you've got 10 boats out there. You still got to think team tactics, but there's a lot more going on, and it's especially in the NACRA with the speed of it, it's easy to make silly mistakes.
Yeah, when we're talking about the Japanese earlier on, who we saw had very good skills, very level skills compared to the Italians in terms of one-to-one tactics, but then as a team seemed to fall behind a little bit. I think in the 5v5 it's gonna come back because there that team effect kind of disappears more and more, and it's gonna be more and more about what you can do as a person. If you can give 1 or 2 penalties to another team, that's gonna be really important as communication will become increasingly difficult.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned about these bigger team races, the 5v5s, is that communication between the team of knowing who's going where, who's attacking when, is just really critical. So you can avoid friendly fire or avoid covering your own boats or making some costly mistakes. Because with the NACRA, if you take a penalty in the NACRA, it can be game over.
Yeah, and like you're saying, you're communicating more in terms of where are you going and how you split the fleet compared to in the smaller fleets where it's more on actual how to battle the opponent and how to position yourself perfectly for a penalty or things like that. So as a team as well, you have to sort of adapt. And it also wouldn't surprise me if there was actually one of the team members that's not sailing, just giving out the calls to the rest of the team. And
Telling people which side to go or which way to take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, definitely in the NACRA and the 49er, your boat is so fast. You really want to focus on on your opponents and your surroundings. And if then you have to look at the shifts and at the gusts as well, and not forget any opponent that's going extreme to one or the other side, it's a lot to take into account.
Let's not forget that the Japanese are playing at a disadvantage here, as it's first thing in the morning on Monday for them. So they'll be, or maybe it's an advantage. Maybe they're all fresh and ready to go, wide awake, whereas the Italians are at the end of their day.
I think it differs from person to person.
Got 30 seconds to go. The Italians are sitting fairly far back on the right-hand side of the start line. A couple of Japanese boats coming in early. Looks to me like we're going to have a big right shift here, so we're probably going to see a penalty start here. It looks like there's at least one Japanese boat heading over to the pin end to do a penalty start. How do you feel about that? Could you?
Yeah, penalty start with this in this situation is kind of difficult. I think it will definitely pay off, but the question is, by doing that, how much do you penalize your team, because you're not able to give any penalties to the opponent as well.
You know what? Yuko did a great job with that penalty start and has really just taken starboard advantage there. With this huge right shift coming, I think Yuko is going to be launched into first place.
Yeah, true. Very, very strong gust and shift coming from the right there. And on the exact opposite side of the course, we had two Japanese at starting at pin end. One of them is still left there. It's Soken, all the way on the left hand side. I think I think that's really a bet and hoping that that the wind will stay and not shift too much. At the moment, it seems
You
to
know
be
what?
pretty neutral still.
Yeah, the boats in the middle of the fleet have been fighting quite a bit. The Italians have put in quite a few attacks just to keep the Japanese boats behind. So Soken's not actually doing too badly. And at least with the wind pressure we're in right now, Soken's not losing too much by being in the slightly lighter pressure.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see
We've just
here
had a
how Yuko.
disconnect.
Oh,
There's a
disconnect.
disconnect.
That is
Who is it?
from the Japanese. One of the Japanese.
That's a shame. That's going to put them on the back foot. Hopefully they can keep a couple of boats ahead and potentially hold on to this.
Yeah, I think they do still have first place there with Yuko, and Soken seems to be very strong as well. Actually, it's going to be Soken in first place rounding the mark. Yuko holding back the rest of the fleet a bit. For me, this
Yeah,
upwind really goes to Yuko. Perfectly played with I think at some point holding back and covering 4 Italians all at once.
Yeah,
So
it's just nice.
good
I think
moves
the
there.
two boats at the front are going to have a lot of work cut out here. 1 and 2 is fairly strong in the 5v5, but you need to have 1, 2, 5 at the worst in order to win that. And at the moment, it doesn't look like either of these Japanese boats at the back are going to get anywhere near 5, because Luca is doing a great job of just slowing them down. If Luca can just keep the two of them behind, then that's a win for Italy. The Japanese have split the course, which is again a wise move, hoping that one of them can get ahead of Luca, but they're not realistically going to catch up all that distance. What's that, about 100 meters difference, 200 meters difference to the next Italian boat, Sosi. So we're going to have to see Soken and Yuko at the front. We're going to have to do something with these Italian boats in order to bring the game back a bit.
Yeah, of course, the Italians here are taking full advantage of that disconnect. Because otherwise this move would have been a lot more difficult for the Italians. So it's Yuko, who's still in a strong position on top of Villis, the 25 there. Soken coming back as well to the right hand side.
It's a difficult boat to try and slow people down in the Nacra. If you can get some penalties, maybe you can do something. Maybe Kanako can get a bit of leverage once the shift comes in a little, but not looking great.
Yeah, we start seeing a left-hand shift building up. So you see Yuko already going over to the left-hand side, covering Moro di Napoli and Villista 86 over there. But yeah, again, the Italians are playing it very well in terms of splitting the course and just going fast.
Japanese 1, 2 have pushed on ahead. I think if I was the Japanese, I would have just stopped at the windward mark, try and give some penalties to these Italian boats and compress the fleet, because at this point they can't win it back.
No, exactly. I don't know actually if the if the Japanese know that they're in a losing position and that it's only Luka Kozlovic potentially that might still finish in ninth place.
Even if Luka finishes in
But
ninth place, that's still a win.
yeah, exactly. So that's where I don't know if the Japanese are aware of this. Maybe if they were, they would have done something differently before that mark.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the disconnect, but sometimes it happens.
And there we go. Japan finishing first and second, then followed by all 5 boats from the Italian team. And that's going to give
even without
a fourth victory
without the
to
disconnect, that was a. With a 4th victory, that means it's match point to the Italians.
Yeah, it is match point to the Italians with 4 races to go. So they got 4 chances for a single victory to put them in the final.
It looks like it was KGR that disconnected, unfortunately. The next up is the 4v4 Ilka. Another opportunity for the Japanese to try and take advantage.
Yeah, the Ilka might once again be one of those boats where on paper the Japanese have a very strong team with Mui Mui, KGR, Kutsuki, and Yatsuki.
Yeah, I agree. That's a strong Japanese squad. They're all strong fleet racers as well. But then we've got Morrow, Ballista 25, Amos, and Luka Koslovic. Again, strong racers. These two sides, I'd say, are fairly evenly matched in the Ilka.
Yeah, true. I'm really looking forward to this race, and that's a very small starting line as well. So we'll definitely see some penalties before the start with 50 seconds to go. Because I don't think
Yeah, I think we
all
might
8
well
of those
see.
boats fit on there.
No, we might well see some penalty starts. We've got left shift coming. The left shift is starting to come in. Yeah, left shift is just coming in now, so it'll be in by the time the start gun goes, which is a strong position for a penalty start. Looks to me like we've got 4 boats over by the pin end, aiming for a penalty start.
Yeah, we see
Or
a lot
some
of
variation.
boats by the pin end there. So of course, when you're doing a penalty start with that many boats, it's also going to be a little bit of luck as to who gets out of the penalty first after crossing the line.
Could be Italian further back, maybe going to try and do the start without taking a penalty.
Yeah. And that was Yatsuki who did that. It's not really working, I think, as he wanted to. Landing right in the wind shadow of Mui Mui.
Yeah, the Italians had a good start there on the pin end. And honestly, right now, Mui Mui is really the only boat who can do any damage here from the Japanese fleet. Mui Mui has potentially the starboard advantage on Ballista 25 and Luka Koslovic. Enough, hopefully, to slow them down a bit. And probably has the upper hand on Charizard once the attack goes in. But being 4v4, as long as you keep 2 boats behind your team, then you're still in a winning position. So maybe we'll see the Japanese just try and ignore the front 2 and concentrate on the back 2 Italians, because Mui Mui has got the advantage on Morrow on the right hand side. Can just wait for Morrow to attack, or even just hold Morrow out to the ley line.
And seeing Mui Mui not doing any aggressive stacks or covers shows that they're still focusing on speed a bit more on the Japanese side.
Yeah,
Not trying
attacking in
to-
the laser does slow you down quite a bit.
Yeah, so if they want to get that advantage and keep that first place advantage, they're doing a good
With
job
what?
there with Mui Mui. A little slowdown on Moro di Napoli. That might be a little bit dangerous there. They don't want to.
No, I think
They
this
don't want
is.
to lose the distance.
Yeah, I agree. Mui Mui wants to keep the speed up, but slowing the Italians just a little bit there and letting some of the other Japanese boats try and get back into the game is definitely going to be a strong move at this point, because we've kind of got 3 Italians ahead with Mui Mui in front. So Mui Mui has to do the damage and slow them down to get the fleet compressed again.
Yeah, and I think perfect timing there that he didn't lose too much to Velista 25 and Luka Kozlovic.
Yeah,
So still clear ahead in front of both of
I
them.
think
And that
a mob
might be,
trap will be strong.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
exactly
there's the
what
mob
he's
trap.
doing. Penalty there for Velista 25. Only 1 penalty. Now going fast to get the upper hand again at the second mark. And he's
He really
still,
needed to penalize more boats there at that point. There's too many of them around him. But to be fair, he only needs 1 boat. If he can keep control of Mui Mui, he can keep control of 1 of the Italians and leave the other 2, then that still gives them an advantage.
yeah, of course, I'm assuming that they want more than that. They want to close the entire pack again, but in the back, it seems like Charizard is is holding up the 3 Japanese all by himself.
Yes, Japanese have spread across the water here, though, just trying to get some clean air and keep moving. I think at the front, Mui Mui has got advantage here on Moro, but we're going to see Luca come in and probably try and attack. Yep, here he comes already. And just try and close Mui Mui out the back.
Yeah, and that's probably gonna give a 1-2 advantage to Italy. So
Dial down here from Velocity 25. Yeah, nicely executed. Penalty on Mui Mui, which really gives the Italians 3 ahead.
and that was exactly what you didn't want, as you said already. It's only 1 boat that they need to keep behind, but even that 1 boat is already more than difficult enough.
Yeah, Luca's just slowing Mui Mui down. And the next Japanese boat, KGR, even with this big right shift coming, or at least half a leg of big right shift, I don't think it's going to be enough for KGR to get close enough to slow the Italians down or catch them on the downwind.
On the other hand, they do have Charizard in the back, so that's at least something. And that means if they can get close enough to Luca and cover him, put him in the back, that they still have a chance.
Yeah, the Japanese made a fairly smart move here of sending Mui Mui to attack early. Now, Mui Mui has got covered by Moro, but at least by attacking early, they've kind of split this up a little bit and given KGR potentially a bit of opportunity to take advantage on Moro. And because KGR is way over the ley line, so KGR can put the nose down and get a bit of speed as he comes into the mark, which might, if we're lucky, it might just give him enough speed to catch up with Moro.
Yeah,
There
for sure.
goes Moro taking the attack.
The 3 Italians there are really close together, so they're gonna slow each other down a little bit as well. And as you can't take the fastest line around those marks, it's gonna give KGR a little bit of a chance to come back.
Yeah, I think that's 30 meters lead. The Japanese that aren't going to be close enough to put wind shadow on Luca. Unfortunately, just not enough. They needed another 20 meters. But they have left Charizard way back. Done a nice job of just closing that Italian boat out in last place.
Yeah, all about that first upwind mark trap.
Yeah, I think so. I think if the Japanese had just really tried to close everything up and maybe not concentrated on trying to keep 3 boats, but just killing 1 boat and bringing 1 boat back with them, might have been a stronger position.
I mean, it was a very good position there for the Japanese, but even while having first, the gap to the other Japanese players in the back was, I think, a bit too big. So even with that march up, I mean, they did slow down the Italian players quite a lot, but it just didn't do as much as they hoped, I believe.
And that was match point to the Italians, I think I'm correct in saying.
Yeah, that was so 5-1 for Italy, and that means that Italy is going to be our first finalist for the eSailing Nations Cup Grand Final next week.
Yeah, congratulations to the Italians. Let's see if we've got 3 races to go though, so Japan could still end this on 4-5.
Yeah, and while for Japan, these races don't make any difference in terms of qualifying to the final. It's still very important for them to learn from these races, and for both teams, this is training, this is experience that you get to prepare for your next match. Because of course Italy will have the grand final, but Japan will have the petite final against the loser of France versus Poland. So these races are perfect preparation for that, to try out new stuff. Maybe even be a bit more aggressive, because in the end it all doesn't matter. So you can try out new things, see if they work.
Yeah, this playing at this level in the Nations Cup is something you can practice in your country all you want, but you don't get the same practice or the same experiences of the level of racing once you're in the match. Once it's down to the wire, there's the nerves and everything else going on. The Japanese have been increasing in strength over the last few years, ever since they started joining the Nations Cup, and they're honestly getting stronger every year. So I think we'll see how they do in the petite final, but I think we'll see them come back next year again even stronger.
So let's have a look here at the 3v3 in the J70. 20 seconds to go. It again looks like the line it's quite spread out. 1 Italian and 1 Japanese, both staying behind a little bit there. 7 seconds.
Yeah, we've got Lorenzo taking a penalty start as well as Yuko.
There's a clear start from the other boats. Penalty start from Lorenzo and Yuko indeed. I wouldn't say the most successful there from Yuko, who has to pass behind Tommy Tamble, just avoids the penalty. But a very good start from Mui Mui on the left hand side.
Yeah, I think this is a strong advantage to the Japanese so far. I think we're going to see a little bit of a right shift, and then it's going to start shifting left quite hard once that pressure comes in, that we're seeing up above the windward mark. So the Japanese boats have got the advantage on the left-hand side of the course. Lorenzo and Tommy Tamble over on the right-hand side are clearly just waiting for enough of that right shift that it doesn't lose too much of their distance once they tack back across.
And here the important cross of Tommy Temple and KGR. KGR decided to go behind. Mui Mui decided to attack.
Yeah, it's interesting tactic from KGR there because I'm pretty certain there's a hard left shift coming. He's gone all the way over to the right-hand side of the fleet, which isn't going to be advantageous.
We see it on the radar right now that it's coming in. So well predicted there, and that's gonna give a little advantage to FIV Rock and Yuko. But yeah, it's not gonna be
Tommy
as
Tamble
strong to make a big difference.
Tommy Tamble and Mui Mui in the middle here. I think Mui Mui's just trying to get the cross on Lorenzo, but couldn't quite make it. Lorenzo dialed down and a little bit of control there. And we just missed that one over on the left-hand side of the course. Yuko and Rock. Rock just missed the dial down on Yuko and put Yuko ahead. I think right now the shift didn't go as hard left as I thought it was going to go. Right now, I think we might have advantage with 2 Italian boats ahead, but Yuko is still looking fairly close. Again, with the 3v3, if the Italians get 1-2, then the only thing the Japanese need to concentrate on is just killing the second Italian boat and pulling them back.
Yeah, I think we see here what the tactic was of the Japanese to put KGR on the right hand side. So they probably knew that that shift wasn't going to be as strong. KGR was able to go straight without any wind shadow, not a lot of maneuvers, and that's putting him very, very close to the rest of the top. So
yeah, you know what? My call on that left shift coming in hard wasn't that accurate. It came in a little bit, but didn't come in as hard as I was expecting, and then quite quickly went back to the right shift.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure that explains well their sailing, and we're here commentating.
So at the front, then we've got Mui Mui has really just got to put the pressure on Lorenzo. I'd hope to see a bit more luffing here for Mui Mui to get the shadow. Just chase down these Italian boats. Got to break up this 1-2 at the front. It's the only thing they can do right now.
Yeah, so we see 2 boats going for Tommy Tamble, and then Yuko, I think, tried to go for Lorenzo, but couldn't make it because FIV Rock was blocking that speed a little bit.
Yeah, we've got an interesting fight over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Over on the right-hand side with Mui Mui, KGR, and Tommy Tamble. An interesting 2v1 here where the Japanese have got a fairly strong advantage in the 2v1, just slowing Tommy down. Mui Mui's going to try and take the leeward advantage while KGR slows with the shadow. There was an unfortunate penalty there on Mui Mui. Just didn't dive far enough to the leeward side. But I think KGR's probably got clean ahead once they get to the mark if he luffs and breaks the overlap.
Yeah, it's still gonna be an overlap, and Tommy Tamble decides to take the other mark, play it safe.
Yeah.
Of course, there's that right-hand shift that we see on the radar, so staying on the right.
You know, I think Tommy Tamble had the advantage in the mark zone, but still decided to take a last-second call and go for the other mark, which has disadvantaged him quite considerably, and managed to let the Japanese get in the middle of the 1-2. And KGR really can just hold Tommy out here now, wait for Tommy to attack on him.
Yeah, so the same thing on my screen, but I think Tommy Tamble realized too far, or already made the call. I mean, that right-hand shift with that strong gust as well is quite favorable, but still, compared to KGR, he lost quite a lot there at that mark rounding. Well,
yeah, there's a bit of it.
Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, the rest of the fleet in the middle there, they're clearly losing some distance to the guys over on the right.
Yeah, I saw Mui Mui and Yuko just putting in a few tacks to keep the cover on Rock, which is fairly smart. But at this stage in the race, Mui Mui really needs to get as as close to Tommy Tamble as possible, so they can really just break up the Italians at the front. You don't want to end up in a situation here where the Italians have got 1 and 3, and KGR is left fighting 2v1 at the front.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then if the distance with Mui Mui is too big, no way for them to come back.
Yeah.
On the other hand, KGR
Japanese.
is doing a very good job there with slowing down Tommy Tamble. And on the leaderboard, it looks like Mui Mui is virtually ahead. I mean that strong right shift is not gonna help, but yeah,
No, this
Mui
is
Mui
good
seems to be
play
quite
from
close
KGR.
there. Yeah.
Strong tactical play, and Lorenzo can't slow down too much because losing first place is not going to be good for the Italians. They want to try and keep that strong position. Lorenzo, though, is possibly the strongest player here, so the Italians have got their 2 weaker players at the back, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
That's
call
just...
FIV Rock and Tommy Tamble weak players, but
No, I don't think any of these players are weak players, but
but indeed, yeah, losing Lorenzo in the battle is not optimal. And at the moment, it looks like the Japanese are playing it quite nicely. I think that gust that you see on the right hand side is also helping them, because they can go fairly straight to the finish line.
the Japanese are in a slightly tricky situation though, because they've got 2 and 3, which is strong for them, but they need 2, 3, 4 or 2, 3, 5 in order to win.
Yeah.
So Yuko really just needs to beat one of these Italian boats.
exactly.
They really need to bring one of the other Japanese boats back, probably, to help with the fight, so it's not a 2v1. It can sometimes get messy, though, when you start going 2v2.
Oh, very aggressive move there by Rock, and that didn't work out for the Italians. Yuko might have a chance here, going straight down.
Yeah, with the way the shift is going, he might just be able to kind of aim slightly above the pin, and still keep ahead of Rock by the time they get to the finish line. It's going to be close though, because Tommy Tamble is coming up fairly quick. I'm not sure though. The shift has gone quite hard to the left-hand side of the course, looking downwind, which is going to be a disadvantage for Tommy Tamble trying to catch up.
Yeah, but it looks like that distance with FIV Rock has increased significantly. So even with a penalty given by Tommy Tamble, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think
to catch up.
Yuko can just take a penalty. Oh, very nice. Nicely done by Yuko.
Avoided that penalty and finishing 5th. Beautiful job there by Yuko handling that 2v1.
Yeah, absolutely nailed that last maneuver. Given the Japanese 2-3-5, which is a winning position.
And that really shows why those races are so nice to watch. Even though the overall match is over, these races really show the more exotic maneuvers, the aggressive dial downs, the things that people really don't want to do when there is a grand final at stake.
Yeah, everything's on the line, and the Japanese are now playing for honor at this point. You know, they've got to get some points back, get the practice in, and hopefully end up with a 3rd place if they go into the petite final and manage to beat the loser of the other semi.
Yeah, the next race we're going into is another opportunity for them to do that again in an F50 race. So they already won the first F50, the 3v3. This time it's a 2v2. So it's JL77 and FIV Rock against FC Rich and Yutsuki.
Yeah, we saw them very strong in the 3v3 in the F50, which was nice, good advantage. See if they can do the same thing in the 2v2. I think they might have a little bit of trouble in the final 5v5 in the 49er, just with the Italians having a bit more depth in their team. But if they can clean this one up and then get a good start on the 49er, maybe they can take 2 back and get a 5. Would that be a 5-4 win? 5-4 lose, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting here to keep a look at to keep an eye out for Yutsuki, who had a very good start in that 3v3.
Yeah, FC Rich is quite often seen playing in the TRL server, so it's quite used to the 2v2 F50 format. And Yutsuki is a super strong F50 player. Perhaps a little bit more experienced than JL77, but Rock's been around for quite a few years and has been in the team race for a while. But let's see what they can do on the start line. The 2v2 start line is a little bit different because if you can just give a penalty to one boat and stick it behind, then last place loses.
Yeah, exactly. The entire focus switches again from the front of the fleet to the back. Again, we see both teams in the middle of the box, not really waiting at the end of the box there, trying to keep boat speed high, have more maneuverability, and be less prone to
FC Rich.
getting those hooks.
Yeah, FC Rich has just gone super low, taking the leeward advantage. With Yutsuki coming in with speed. It's a really good tactic between the 2 Japanese boats, actually, with one boat ahead and one boat going for speed. It looks to me like FC Rich has got the first place for the turn mark, which is strong. At this point, FC Rich just needs to keep on moving and wait for the upwind, probably. I think we'll see FC Rich just take a clean round, and just go for the leeward gate. At least for now, leaving Yutsuki at the back and try and do the control on the upwind, which is so much easier than trying to control on the downwind, where you can lose positions really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Italians straight away decided to slow down, leave FC Rich in the front, and focus on Yutsuki.
So we'll see what
again,
FC Rich
it's really
decides
important.
to do.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we'll see what FC Rich decides to do here. The shift was already in, so FC Rich had to take the starboard tack immediately, which pushed Rock out slightly. FC Rich obviously still has a huge lead, and Yutsuki hasn't taken much advantage yet over anything. So FC Rich, now we see on the left-hand side, is just dialing down, putting the bow down, getting the speed, and it's going to cover over the top of one of the Italian boats. And either just try and go for the soft cover, which is a smart option at this point as well, or try and go for a penalty.
Yeah, that right shift is helping Yutsuki a lot to come back here. I don't think it's gonna last all the way till that first mark. So for Yutsuki, I'm guessing another tack might be needed. Same for JL77.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think any of these boats are going to make it around the mark.
Yeah, no, exactly. For all 4 of them, that shift back to the middle was very strong. But still, first position for FC Rich, and he managed to close it up quite nicely again. So
yeah, just holding the position ahead downwind is smart. I put the jibe in. I was going to say it's not always smart to let the other boats go the other side of the course to you, just in case they get some unexpected pressure. But he's put the jibe in and just making sure he's got at least one Italian boat behind him.
yeah, playing it quite safe there. Any aggressive play on the downwind in these F50s is very risky, and I don't think it ever really pays out. So best to just keep your speed and play it out on the upwind with a strong position there. So that's exactly what FC Rich has right now, with that starboard advantage by being on the right hand side.
Yeah, we've got another hard right shift coming though, so we're going to see these boats try and get over towards the start box. Dial down there from FIV Rock, but just missed that one. Yutsuki managed to get out of the way, and I think Yutsuki might be able to get advantage with this right shift coming.
Yeah, because Yutsuki is gonna make it into the starting box. So if FC Rich can block the other two players a little bit there, that's gonna help. But that right hand shift is just not
Just
gonna
seeing
be
it
super
start
strong.
now. Yeah, it didn't come quite that hard.
No, exactly, but it's still there, and it's still gonna be difficult for JL77. There they go, penalty JL77 by Yutsuki. Very very well played there. Very close as well. I think that was almost on the edge of getting a Rule 12.
Yeah, I
The other
think
way
you're right.
around.
Yutsuki just about had enough speed to get the nose underneath and get the penalty as JL77 was frantically trying to bear away and block it.
Yeah, but very
FIV
very
Rock
well
is
played
coming
there.
in fairly fast on the left-hand side. I didn't expect that. But the Japanese still have the advantage here, and as long as Yutsuki can get around the mark without taking a penalty from Rock, yeah, and he's nailed that one. So if the Japanese just keep it out of each other's way and get around the turn here, then that's a win for the Japanese.
And again, very very strong team play in this race, just like with the previous one.
Yeah, smart moves from the Japanese when they needed it. And yeah, we're seeing just strength in the F50, I think, from the Japanese. This is their advantage. RG Tyler in the Twitch chat there just also agreeing that the oh no, sorry, you didn't say the Japanese. He said JL77 was very strong in the F50. I think the Japanese got the upper hand there of JL77 there though, so JL77 needs to go back to TRL and do some more practice.
Yeah, maybe for everyone watching, if you don't know TRL, that's a team race league. It's one of the Discord servers that's hosted by the community, where you can race against other eSailors, and the Discord server does the entire matchmaking. So you just join a queue, and you get put in a team. You can join a voice chat and race in virtual regatta. So it's very good practice if you wanna improve your team racing skills. And it's also gonna help you in the fleet racing, in my opinion, as well, because your boat handling just becomes so good. Definitely on the starts where it can be quite crowded. It's important to know how each boat reacts, and TRL is the perfect tool to build those skills.
Yeah, for sure. You know, if there's anybody watching who wants to get into team racing, it's just the ideal place to start. You'll see quite a lot of these boats that we've seen in the Italian squad, a few of the Japanese, the French squad, the Spanish, the British, all regularly racing in there, matching up against each other, mixed teams. It's a really good place to just learn team racing really fast because you're playing against top level players.
Yeah, and that's really the nice thing, in my opinion, about this game, is that even as a new player, you can join in these community-run servers and events, and immediately you play against the top of the world, and you're able to improve so much, which is some very very valuable tools that you get there.
Yeah, we're going into 49er for the last race, so this is Japan's last chance to almost equalize the score here, which would be really nice for the Japanese to come away with this with a 4-5. Just really showing their strength. You know, we've had 3 really strong matches from them, and one more. It looks like the Italians have just got a bit of a problem joining the race, and then we'll be good to go. Who's in the chat today? What do you reckon on this last race, 5v5 49? Think Japan can take one more and get those 4 points? Got Omar there from the Turkish squad. Yeah, that was a great race. You're right, Omar.
Let's hope for the Japanese that they don't get any disconnection problems this time. And I feel like that was a bit of an unfair race, the one in the Nacra.
Yeah,
I mean, the race
disconnect
was
is
played. Yeah, it made
the
all the
disconnect is
difference.
unfortunate. We've seen a few of the Nations Cup matches over the years where somebody disconnects at in one of them, and it just disadvantages the team so much when you've just about called the loss right on that.
Yeah, so this will hopefully be a better way to measure the two teams' strength in the 5v5. 50 seconds to go for the first start. Looking at the line, it looks to me like the committee boat is quite favored.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we've got maybe fairly evenly matched teams here. It looks like the Italians may have spread out their better players all the way into this last race, and the Japanese maybe not quite so much. So they've got Kazuki and FC Rich, who are both very strong. The Italians are doing a fairly good job here of just blocking up the start line on the approach to the committee boat. And we've got one Italian. I'm going to guess it's Blister 86. No, it's not. Morrow. Who is it? Oh, it's 42. Lorenzo taking the penalty start. Just taking the penalty there with 10 seconds to go. He's going to try and launch himself over to the starboard side of the course. Penalty start looks good for Lorenzo, but he's put Ballista 86 in the dirt and just had to bear away and make sure that Ballista 86 had the space there. It's a really strong start from Ballista 86 and Ballista 42 on the right-hand side of the course. But the Japanese have just blocked out the rest of the Italians. Japanese have blocked out the middle part of the fleet. And the remaining Italians, Tommy Tamil and Moro and Charizard are having to just stick it over to the left-hand side of the course and hope for the best. But this is 49er, and I'm seeing a big right-hand shift coming. Now, I was wrong last time, but I'm fairly confident this one's going to be a right-hand shift coming. Yeah, the middle sock is now going.
Yeah.
And in the 49er, it's just strong to get in that pressure, get in the shifting pressure on the lifting tack, and get moving.
Yeah, and for those three boats on the left, it's really bad news as the pressure difference in the 49er makes a big speed difference in the boats as well. So we can see FC Rich and Soken really dominating those three boats there. Over
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
right-hand side.
the Japanese played a smart move there by sending Soken and FC Rich just to put the soft cover on those three Italian boats, just in case they managed to get something back. Just made sure they had the advantage on those three boats and almost forgot about the other two Italians, but just let them keep moving. At this point, the Japanese squad just needs to keep all three Italians behind them. And they're in a very strong position because the Italians only have two ahead. And as soon as those two Italians that are ahead start fighting, the four Japanese boats behind them are going to go straight past. So the Italians are definitely on the back foot here. I think Soken is doing a really good job here, just covering both sides of those Italian boats, just making sure they can't get anywhere close, making sure they stay behind.
Yeah, and that's the four Japanese very close to that top two, giving us a similar situation as in the previous race, in the previous 5v5, but then with the roles turned with Japan in front.
Yeah, with 1 and 2, the Italians need to get one of their boats up to, up to 6th place in order to get anywhere near a win. So they'd have to get through 2 Japanese at this point, which is going to be difficult in the 49er. I think this is showing a bit of strength in the Japanese fleet racing ability as well. Getting nice, good, clean starts and going the right way up the beat, doing a bit of cover, not fighting too much, keeping things moving.
Yeah, true. Very clean racing, and with a minimal amount of tax, they still position themselves perfectly first upwind, covering the Italians, but also keeping a good hand on the strong side.
Yeah, you're right. Tacking is fairly expensive in the 49er, so you don't want to be doing too much of it.
Looks like we're getting a very strong right-hand shift again this time. Katsuki all the way on the right. Might have seen that, and gonna be interesting to see what we're gonna get there between Yatsuki and Philista 86. Kazuki, sorry,
Yeah,
attacking already.
the shift is not in the pressure though, and we'll see probably already. We should see Villista 86 getting a bit more speed on the pressure side of the course. Let's see, Japan 985 is doing about 10 knots on the right, and yeah, Villista 86 is almost doing a knot faster, at least half a knot faster on the left-hand side. So although it is advantageous here to be in the shift, you could also pull some of the distance back just by being in the pressure and keeping the speed up in the 49er.
So it's interesting now with Philista 86 stacking back. He seems to still be ahead of Japan 985 and Kazuki, who just crossed behind.
Very close tag there between Tommy Tamble and Soken. Soken just able to put the lee bow on, so Tommy Tamble couldn't get anywhere past. Again, on this upwind, the Japanese are just doing a great job of keeping the 3 Italian boats behind them. A little bit of cover, just putting the tacks in front of them, just blocking up the race course.
Yeah, it looks like Kazuki might be close enough here to cover on the downwind on Velisa 42. And with the other Japanese players very, very close behind.
I thought I was about to see the 2 Italians at the front doing a mark trap, but actually they've just gone on ahead. I'm not quite sure that the Italians are sure what to do at the front of the fleet here, because there's so many Japanese boats behind them. If they start fighting or slowing down, they're just going to lose it. And at this stage, Tommy Tamble in 8th place is their only chance, and Tommy would have to get past 2 Japanese boats.
And it looks like Kazuki already has the hook on the 2 Japanese, on the 2 Italian. Villista 86 falls behind.
At the front of the fleet, yes.
Yeah, they're definitely not sure of that 1 and 2. And yeah, Kazuki had the full hook on Lorenzo on Villista 42. And that's
there's the penalty. Very nice.
And that's pushing Japan 985 in front as well, and then from the other side comes Ozil, who might get first place. Penalty there for Villista 86. That's first place for Japan, second place for Japan as well, and coming in 4th is Kazuki, and that's
another penalty just before the line. Wow. What did they take? 1, 2, 4, 5. What a recovery from the Japanese. Not even recovery, what a race from the Japanese. Really nicely controlled. They showed the Italians how to do it there. That was really strong race from the Japanese.
Yeah, what an attack on the last downwind.
Unfortunately on the very last race, but good to see them come back. That's that's almost a draw, 5-4 to Italy. Japanese are just getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I'm sure this is really gonna boost their confidence for that petite final. Also happening next weekend, because these 3 races were really, really high level, and we saw textbook racing there from the Japanese team against Italy. That is definitely not our weak team in this championship. So good job by the Japanese to climb back to a 5-4, and again, congratulations to Italy, qualifying for the eSailing Nations Cup Grand Final next week.
Yeah, next up then we've got France versus Poland. Do we have a date for that match yet?
Yeah, so that's happening Wednesday evening at, I believe,
9 p.m. CET Wednesday evening, France versus Poland.
there we go. Thank you very much, Oscar.
First time we see Poland in the semifinals, I believe,